Yes, so far we learned about the great leaders Mahatma Gandhi and Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yes, so Mahatma Gandhi was a prominent leader, famous leader of Indian independence movement when British was ruling India. Yes, so he worked hard for our country. He always worked for the welfare of others' needs, the wishes, isn't it? Yes, so for that he gave up his career, his family, his wealth, everything, and he was working fully for the freedom of India, for the people of India, India's freedom. Yes, and he never gave up his morals and rules. Even though if he need to pay for that, he never gave up his morals and rules. What is right and what is wrong, that he knows well, and he went accordingly to that. Whenever he fought for the freedom of the country, he never gave up his morals and rules, and he was the father. He's the father of our nation, and people used to call him Bapu. Bapu means father. Yes. And we learned about Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yes, so he was a great patriot. Patriot is a person who loves his country and ready to die for the country. Yes, so from the childhood onwards, he dreamt about the freedom of our country, India, and he brought up in that atmosphere, patriotic atmosphere. Then he met Rajguru and Sukhdev and shared his thoughts, and all of the three work together for the freedom of the country. They struggle. They fight many guerrilla wars. Yes, against the British laws. Yes, and Jallianwala Bagh massacre, what happened? Yes, they blasted bomb in the assembly hall, and because of that, against two laws, Trade Union Dispute Bill and Public Safety Bill, and British, they arrested three of them and hanged to death. But people, they didn't fear by this incident. Instead, it ignited fire in them, means they inspired by this. Even though these many people were killed, they continued for working, for fighting for the freedom of the country. Yes. Then next, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Next freedom fighter, or the next great leader is Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Children used to call him Chachaji. Yes, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Yes, Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India. So he was the first Prime Minister of India. First Prime Minister of India. He was the first Prime Minister of India. Jawaharlal Nehru. Yes. Then, and a central figure in Indian politics for much of the 20th century. He is an important figure in the Indian politics also. He was born on 14th November 1889 in Allahabad, Central India. Yes, he was born on which date? November 14th. The day we celebrate Children's Day in the memory of Jawaharlal Nehru, Chachaji, isn't it? Yes. His father, Motilal Nehru, was a prominent advocate. His father, Motilal Nehru, he was an advocate. He was a famous advocate those days and early leader of the Indian independence movement. So his father was also the leader of Indian independence movement. The movement started for Indian independence, to get freedom for India. Many leaders were there in that. So his father was also a member of that. Yes, he was a leader of that movement, and the younger Nehru graduated from Cambridge University and returned to India in 1912. Yes, he took his graduation. He went to London to study, and he came back. Cambridge University at London he studied, and he came back to India in 1912. Over the next 30 years, he rose to become a top political leader of the Indian National Congress Party. Yes, after coming to India, then the next 30 years he worked hard and he became the political leader of Indian National Congress Party. Indian National Congress Party. Indian National Congress Party. He became the top political leader of this party, Indian National Congress Actually, many British people or English people, they used to beat Indians, they torture Indians, but there were some Englishmen who was fond of Indians, so because they gave sympathy. Because of the sympathy, what happened? They also helped Indians to form a party called this one, Indian National Congress Party. Some Englishmen were helping Indians. There were few Englishmen, those who were so nice to Indians. Okay, so because they felt so sympathy on Indians, they also helped Indians to form this party, and there were many leaders for this party, Indian National Congress, and Nehruji or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the main leader, top leader in this party. He also helped Gandhiji in the struggle for independence from Britishers. Yes, he helped a lot. He helped Gandhiji a lot to get freedom from British rule. Yes, and he was also a great internationalist. He was an internationalist, a great internationalist. He was a great internationalist. A person who believes in the cooperation and understanding between nations. A person who believes always in the cooperation and understanding between nations. He's an internationalist and one of the founders of non-aligned movement. He was the founder of non-aligned movement. So there were many parties or movement those days against the British. Many leaders were there who leading these parties or movement. Yes, so he was the founder of non-aligned movement. He could give many extemporaneous speeches in a single day. Yes, in a single day he used to give many speeches without any preparation. That is extemporaneous speech done without any preparation. That is, what do you mean by extemporaneous speeches? So he used to give many speeches without any preparation. He used to give the speeches in a single day. His most famous speech is the Trust with Destiny, addressed to the Constituent Assembly of India in New Delhi on the night of August 14th and 15th, 1947. Yes, so on the eve of that day, before India got independence, the previous day, he gave a speech in New Delhi, and these are some words that he used by Nehru in the speech when he was giving a speech on the eve of India's independence. That is Trust with Destiny. In case of India, the word destiny refers to freedom actually. So he was using this word when he was giving a speech in New Delhi on the eve of India's independence. Yes, so Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he was the first Prime Minister of India and a great figure in the Indian politics. And he was born on November 14th, and his father Motilal Nehru was the earlier leader of the Indian independence movement, and he studied at Cambridge University in London, and he came back to India and he became the top political leader of Indian National Congress Party, and he supported Gandhiji, helped Gandhiji a lot for the independence from British rule, and he was a great internationalist also, a person who always believed in the cooperation, understanding between nations, and he was the founder of non-aligned movement. Then he used to give speeches in single day without any preparation. He used to give many speeches, and the main famous speech, Trust with Destiny, the word that he used while he was giving speech on the eve of this Independence Day in New Delhi. While he was giving speech, he used this word, Trust with Destiny. TRYST, Trust with Destiny. So according to India, or in case of India, this destiny refers to actually freedom. He meant freedom. Yes, that's about Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. We children used to call him Chachaji, and we celebrate Children's Day in his loving memory, in the loving memory of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, or people's favorite Chachaji, isn't it? Yes. Yes. So we learned about The famous leaders Mahatma Gandhi, Shahid Bhagat Singh and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Next is about Sarojini Naidu. Sarojini Naidu, who is known as Nightingale of India. Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India. The Nightingale of India. Nightingale of India. Yes. So who is the Nightingale of India? Sarojini Naidu. Yes. The Nightingale of India, Sarojini Naidu. She was a poetess and a social activist. She used to write poems. She used to write poems. She was a great poet and also a social activist. Women that strongly work for the betterment of society, for the change in the society, like healthcare or unemployment or for the poor people, their housing, everything. So a woman strongly work hard to bring a change in the society. That was Sarojini Naidu. She studied at the King's College, London and Girton College, Cambridge. So she studied there in London. She was the first woman to become the governor of an Indian state. She was the first woman to become the governor of Indian state as well as Indian National Congress. Yes, she was the first woman to become the governor of Indian National Congress as well as an Indian state. She was one of the members who formed the Constitution of India. Yes, after India got its independence, Indian Constitution got formed. So she was one of the member of that Constitution of India, where supreme laws of India, the structure, the power, the duties of government are carried out. And that is Constitution of India. They formed this constitution, how to perform the duties of government, the supreme laws, the fundamental rights and duties of citizens, everything carried out there. So after getting independence, this Constitution of India was formed, and in that member, she was one of the member of that to form that Constitution of India. To know why it is formed means to rule the country, how to rule, what all rules should be there, that structure, formation, everything that constitute this Constitution of India. It formed in 1905. Constitution of India, Partition of Bengal. During the Partition of Bengal, she came in contact with prominent independent leaders like Annie Besant, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Rabindranath Tagore, Gopal Krishna Gokhale and others. These were the great Indian leaders of our freedom, or they are the great freedom fighters, we say. So during the Partition of Bengal happened in 1905. So in that year, when Bengal got divided into two, East and West Bengal, got divided. Those days or those year in 1905, she came to contact with these independent great leaders of independence, like Annie Besant, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Rabindranath Tagore, Gopal Krishna Gokhale and others. They were the great Indian leaders of freedom fighters of India. Yes, so in 1905, when Bengal was divided, she came to contact with these great people. She started traveling from state to state, where she delivered speeches on social welfare. She started traveling from state to state, from one state to another state. She used to travel and she used to give speeches on social welfare. Her main aim to provide the quality care to the society, the well-being of the nation's citizens. So she worked hard for that, for the betterment of the society, for the change in the society. For that, she used to give speeches by going from one state to another state. She also spread the message of independence through her poetry. So she used to write poems. She was a great poetess, isn't it? Yes. So through her poems, she used to spread the message of the freedom, of the independence. She was an important women leader. Yes, she was an important women leader. That is Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India. We say about her as Nightingale of India. She used to write poems. In her poems, she always spread the message about the freedom, about the independence. And she was a great social activist also. Always work hard for the change in the society. Always work for the betterment of the society, for the poor people in the society, the health care, the housing, for assisting them. She was always there to do all this work. For that, she used to travel from one state to another state. She always gives speeches about the independence. And also about the social welfare. Social welfare in the sense the change in the society. So she always worked for the betterment of the society, for the people in the society. And she was the first woman to become the governor of Indian state as well as Indian National Congress. And she was one of the member of Indian Constitution, formation of the Constitution of India. She was one of the members who formed the Constitution of India. To form the Constitution of India, there were many people worked behind that, and that one of them is Sarojini Naidu. So without Constitution of India, it was difficult to rule the whole country India. Constitution of India sets the rules for the country, the supreme laws, rules, how to rule, the duties of government, everything. Yes, so she was one of the member to form the Constitution of India. And in the year 1905, when Bengal was divided, the partition of Bengal happened. That time she happened to meet many great leaders of independence like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, then Rabindranath Tagore, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Annie Besant and all. Yes, and she was an important women leader. She was an important woman leader who Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India. Next great leader is Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose. Subhash Chandra Bose. Yes, Subhash Chandra Bose. 1897, he was born in 1897, he died in 1945, was one of the India's great nationalist leaders of the first half of the 20th century. So he was one of the India's great leader like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Bhagat Singh. He was also one of the great nationalist leader. He led the Revolutionary Indian National Army during World War II. During Second World War, he led this army for the war, Second World War. He was the great leader. Netaji, so people called him as Netaji, as he was called, was a very prominent figure in the Indian freedom struggle. His sole aim was the freedom of his country. His sole aim is his only aim. He was working only for the freedom of the country, India. Yes. He was called as Netaji and he was an important figure or important leader in the Indian freedom struggle. And his only aim, there was no other aim in his life. His only aim was for the freedom of the country. And he was well educated and believed that there should be a complete intolerance for caste differentiation, racism, or religious separation. He was educated, he was well educated, he was well studied, well educated, he has good qualification, and he believed that there should be a complete intolerance. Means he was unwilling to accept this caste differentiation. Those days people, they were divided, or people like caste differentiation were there, like low caste, high caste, according to the religion, according to the color. Yes, so he was unwilling to accept all these things. He was so active in the Indian National Congress that he was arrested several times by the British government. He was so active in the Indian National Congress. It's a party, isn't it? Where Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the leader of that Indian National Congress party, and he was so active. Our Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, was so active in that party, and they used to conduct many movements in that and he used to support all the people in that. He was a great leader in that. And what happened, many times British people arrested him. Yes, so soon he realized that international backing was a must for India's freedom. Soon he came to realize that international support also, they need international support for India's freedom. So he started meeting leaders from Japan, Italy and Germany who were against the British forces in the World War II. So these leaders of Japan, Italy and Germany, they were against this British forces in World War II. So when he understood that international backing or international support, it must be there for the India's freedom, he started meeting the leaders of Japan, Italy and all Germany, and they were against the British forces. So because of him, we got support from the leaders of Japan, Italy and Germany. Then the slogan Jai Hind was also given by him, which still prevails. Still it is more powerful, still it is so effective. Which slogan? Jai Hind. Yes, the slogan Jai Hind was given by Netaji or Subhash Chandra Bose. Still that slogan is very effective, still that is so powerful. The slogan given by Netaji or Subhash Chandra Bose, that is Jai Hind. Yes, so Subhash Chandra Bose, he was one of the great Indian nationalist leader, we say. Yes, he led the party of Indian National Congress, and he was so active in that party, and he led the revolutionary Indian National Army. Yes, he led that party, Indian National Army, and during Second World War. Yes, and he was called by Netaji, and he was a great figure, important leader in the Indian freedom struggle. He worked a lot with other people also, other leaders, for the freedom of our country. He was so active in Indian National Congress Party, and he was a well-educated person. He never believes in the discrimination of caste or racism and even religious separation. Those days, these things are untouchability, these things are going on. People of low caste cannot come in the way of the higher caste when they are going through a way, or they should move when the people of high religion, they comes through that way, or they should not touch them. Those who are black, they should go away. So those things are going on those days. Religious separation were there based on the color, skin and all. So Subhash Chandra Bose was totally against that. He never believed in all these things. He was so educated person, and he was so active in the Indian National Congress Party, and the British government arrested him many times. And once he realized that international support is must for the India's freedom, so he met the leaders of Japan, Italy, Germany, who were against the British forces in Second World War, and the great slogan Jai Hind was given by him, and still that slogan is more powerful or very effective. So that is about Subhash Chandra Bose or Netaji. Yes, so we were learning about the freedom fighters of India, isn't it? The great leaders who sacrificed their life, who gave up their life for our country, India. Yes, who were those leaders? Yes, we learned about Mahatma Gandhi, we learned about Shahid Bhagat Singh, we learned about Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, we learned about Sarojini Naidu, we learned about Subhash Chandra Bose. And there were many other leaders too, like Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Annie Besant, Rabindranath. Many leaders were there, but these are the main leaders who fought for our country, who worked hard, struggled a lot to get India's independence. And finally, we got independence on 15th August 1947, isn't it? Yes. Yes, so we learned about different political leaders or the freedom fighters of India who fought for the independence of our country. Yes, we learned about Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi was a great leader of Indian independence movement when British was ruling India. Yes, and he worked heart for the people of India. He never cared about himself, isn't it? He always worked for the benefit of others, the needs, the wishes, isn't it? For the poor people. For that he gave up his career, his job, his wealth, his family, everything. And he always he follows the morals and values and his rules. He know what is right and what is wrong. According to that he went. Yes. He never gave up those things, isn't it? He always fought for the betterment of the people who were treated as third class citizens by British. British treat people of India or Indians as third class citizens. It was very difficult situation those days. For those poor people, Gandhiji fought a lot, and at last we got freedom on 15th August 1947. And Gandhiji is our father of nation, and people used to call him Bapu, means father. Yes. Then we learned about Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yes, Shahid means martyr, a person who died for the country, sacrificed his life for the country. That is called as a martyr. So Shahid Bhagat Singh. Yes, he was a great patriot. Yes, who loves his country like anything and was ready to die for the country. Yes, he always dreamt that about the freedom of India. And he met Rajguru and Sukhdev and shared his thoughts, and all the three worked a lot for the freedom of our country, India, and they fought many guerrilla wars. Always they fought against the British laws. Yes. And once in the Assembly of India, during Jallianwala Bagh massacre, they blasted bomb and British arrested them, and they fought for two laws that British passed: Trade Union Dispute Bill and Public Safety Bill. British, they put the people in jail, prison, without any reasons, without any trials. They beat people and put the people in jail. So against that, Sukhdev, Rajguru and Bhagat Singh, they fought, and the British arrested these people and hanged to death. But people, by seeing this, after this incident, they didn't fear. They got dare more. It ignited fire in them. It inspired them. And all of them, in one voice, they told what? Sar kata sakta hai, sar chuka sakta nahi. Means what? We can have our heads chopped, but not bowed. Means we never bow in front of British. We never bow in front of you. If you can kill us, you can do whatever you want, but we never bow in front of you. Yes. Then we learned about the great political leader, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the first Prime Minister of India. Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India and a central figure, the most important leader in the Indian politics. His father, Motilal Nehru, was an earlier leader in Indian national movement. Then he was well educated. He studied in Cambridge University, London. Then he came back to India. Then he worked a lot for the freedom of India, and he became the top leader of Indian National Congress Party. He supported and helped Gandhiji a lot for the independence of India from Britishers. And he was a great internationalist. He believed always the cooperation and this understanding between the nations. And he was one of the founder of non-aligned movement. He always used to give, or he could give, many extemporaneous speeches, means speeches without any preparation. He used to give in a single day. Yes, so on the night, August 14th and 15th, or eve of Independence Day, he gave a speech in New Delhi, tryst with destiny. Yes, that is the word he used while he was giving his speech. In case of India, that word destiny means freedom. Yes, so those 2 days he was continuously giving speech. He could give speech like that. He was a well-educated person, isn't it? Yes. And one of his famous speeches, Tryst with Destiny. Yes. Then we learned about Sarojini Naidu, called the Nightingale of India. Yes, she was a great poetess. She used to write many poems. Because of her poetries or poems, Mahatma Gandhiji gave this name to Sarojini Naidu, the Nightingale of India. Her poems were, the themes of the poems are like full of love, death, separation of others. So Gandhiji gave this name to Sarojini Naidu as the Nightingale of India. Mahatma Gandhi called her first the Nightingale of India. She was a great poetess and social activist. Social activist means a strong woman who always work for the change in the society, for the betterment of the society, for the people of India, for the society. Yes, so she studied at London and all, and she was the first woman to become the governor of an Indian state. She was the first woman to become the governor of Indian state as well as Indian National Congress. She was the first woman to become the governor of Indian National Congress as well as Indian state. Then she was one of the members who formed the Constitution of India. Then during the partition of Bengal, when Bengal got divided in 1905, she came to meet many great leaders like Mahatma Gandhi ji, Rabindranath Tagore, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Annie Besant, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, like that many leaders she met. Then she used to travel from state to state and she used to give speeches. Okay, she delivered speeches on social welfare. The social welfare means she always aimed to provide the quality care to society regarding their housing, employment, education, health care, everything, assisting the poor. She always worked for that, and she was an important women leader. And she also spread messages of independence through her poetry. She always spread the message of freedom, independence through her poetry. She always used to write poems, isn't it? And spread messages of independence through her poetry. So she was first called by Nightingale of India by Mahatma Gandhi. Yes. Next we learned about Subhash Chandra Bose. Yes. Subhash Chandra Bose also one of the great nationalist leaders, and he led the revolutionary Indian army in the Second World War. And he was so active in the National Congress Party, and Britishers many times arrested him. Yes, he was well-educated person. He never believed in this religious discrimination, the discrimination of people, dividing the people according to the color, caste and all. He never accepted that. He was well-educated. Those days, people were divided according to the color, according to the religion, the caste, high caste, low caste and all. Yes, so Netaji was called, people called him as Netaji. Subhash Chandra Bose, people called him as Netaji. So he never believed in all these things, and he was very active in the International Congress Party, and he realized that for the freedom of India, they need the support of the international support. So he met the leaders of Japan, Italy, Germany, and they were against actually the British forces in Second World War. And the main important slogan given by Netaji or Subhash Chandra Bose is Jai Hind. That slogan is still prevailing, means still active, or still it's so powerful, still it is so effective. That slogan was given by Subhash Chandra Bose, Jai Hind. Yes. Words to remember. Massacre. Massacre means an indiscriminate and brutal killing of many people. Indiscriminate, the careless and brutal, cruel killing of many people. That is massacre. Jallianwala Bagh massacre, led by Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru. There, isn't it? They blasted a bomb in Assembly Hall. Many people were killed, and these people were arrested and hanged to death. Yes. Prominent means famous, well known, very important. Extemporaneous means spoken or done without preparation, speaking or without preparation, delivering speeches. Then brush up. Mahatma Gandhi was the prominent leader of Indian independence movement in British ruled India. Yes, Mahatma Gandhi was a important leader of Indian independence movement when British were ruling India. Shahid Bhagat Singh was a great patriot who fought for the rights of humanity. He always fought for the human rights. Who? Shahid Bhagat Singh. Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of India. Sarojini Naidu was the first woman to become the governor of an Indian state as well as the Indian National Congress. She was the first woman to become the governor of the Indian state and also Indian National Congress. She was a great poetess and also a strong woman activist. Yes, life skills. Many people sacrifice their lives for bringing the freedom for the country, isn't it? There were many leaders, great leaders who sacrificed, who gave up their life for the freedom of our country. We should be very grateful to those people. We should be so thankful and should be so grateful to those people. We should also be grateful to the soldiers of our country who fought with the enemies on the border. Yes, now also soldiers are there for us. Indian soldiers at the border always fighting for us to save our country, save us from the enemies. When enemies attack our country, Indian soldiers, they fight for us against them. And many soldiers are giving their life for our country. They are sacrificing their life for our country. We can see in TV, the news and all, the soldiers sacrificing their life. They are dying for the country. At borders, they are fighting for our country. When the war comes, soldiers fight with other countries for us, isn't it? For saving us from the enemies. So we should be so grateful to those great leaders and the soldiers who are at the borders fighting for us, saving us from the enemies. We should be so thankful and grateful for these leaders and the soldiers now, isn't it? Yes. So we completed the lesson of freedom fighters in India, lesson 19. Yes, so we learned about many freedom fighters, the great leaders. So go through the lesson, read the lesson as many times as possible. Then go to the exercise part. Okay.